Welcome to Straight from the Hive. I'm Alan Charansky, President Beekeeper at Glory Bee, and I'm super excited to introduce and welcome our guest, Kara Smith, food developer at Food for Lane County. Welcome, Kara.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Well, a great way to start our Straight from the Hive talk today is just elaborate on your role at and primary responsibilities as food source developer at Food for Lane County.
Sure. So, as the food resource developer at Food for Lane County, I work with all of our food business community to help facilitate the logistics and support donations that come into our food bank. I work in conjunction with our operations team, so I work with a very large team, and I work with producers, growers, processors, distributors,
Oh my
wholesalers,
gosh.
manufacturers.
Wow. So you get to meet a lot of interesting people, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's great. So can you just help clarify for the audience, what's the distinction between a food bank and a food pantry, and is Food for Lane County one or the other or both?
This is a great question. So food banks, actually, there's 20 food banks in the state of Oregon, so we're one of
Okay.
20. And food banks' primary responsibility is to collect and distribute all the food that's available in that community. So we're essentially a food hub,
Okay.
so to speak. And then we work to distribute that food to food pantries.
Ah,
Um, yeah, and there are food pantries speckled all throughout our county, 34 pantries to be exact. And they they're awesome organizations. They're oftentimes a faith-based community organization or a general community organization, and they are powered by volunteers and lots of
okay.
volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we actually do, even though our primary responsibility is to collect and rescue and solicit food donations, we also run our own food pantry as well. And
Okay.
it's actually a mobile food pantry.
Oh,
So we can take that food pantry to remote areas that might not have the resources in their community to host a food pantry.
hmm. Well,
So
that's
we do both.
fantastic. That's amazing. Well, food is such, obviously we can't live without food, right? Everybody needs food to survive, and um, it's such a critical role that you play. And so, um, what I want to know is when you get a donation of, let's say, 300,000 pounds of food, how do you guys determine the allocation and distribution of those um, contributions?
Well, 300,000 pounds of food would be amazing. That would be an amazing donation. Um, And the way that we operate is we will bring that donation in and we weigh it. And then it goes into our virtual inventory system. And it's a software system designed specifically for food banks. And
Okay.
then we allocate that product to, well, first we start allocating it to our pantries because
Hmm.
pantries are, they pretty much distribute the bulk of the food that we bring in. And once it's into our inventory system, then a food pantry can log in, a food pantry manager will log in and they will order what it is they need for their distribution that day. And we do our allocations based on typical averages of households served at each food pantry. So we kind of get a sense and know a little bit about how much they will need for their distributions that
Okay.
day. Yeah.
Great.
Now, if it's in an excess, like you said,
Hmm.
300,000 pounds, that's quite a lot
Right.
for a pantry. So, our pantry managers also have their own inventory systems in their storehouses at their pantry. So, if it's more than they can use for that month or that week for their distribution, then we store it for them. And then it's made available to them for their next distribution
Oh,
as well.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
They
fantastic.
yeah, they really do their best to be able to provide variety and choice and to be able to help community members make complete meals. So
Hmm.
they have to do a little bit of inventory management themselves to make sure they have that variety for
Wow, pretty
folks.
amazing network that's going on here to keep people supplied with food to survive. That's awesome. So, what we donate, Glory B donates to the Cereal for Youth program. Can you talk a little bit about what that program is, what that initiative is, and why it exists, and what who does it benefit and how?
Oh, sure. I love talking about this program, so I might go on and on. It's
That's great.
it's so amazing, Alan. It really is a truly incredible program, and it is really incredible on two fronts. First, it addresses childhood hunger and
Hmm.
which is, I hate to say it, but it's pretty high in our community. I believe 51% of children qualify for free and reduced price lunch, which is quite high.
Wow, that's high.
And yeah, and we all know that it's important for brain development, for focus in school, for being able to learn and really succeed in
Hmm.
life, having
Hmm.
access to food and nutritious food. Um, so what's really cool about this, I think, is it started with a collaboration with three local food businesses, Glory Bee being one of those.
Yeah,
And I believe it started in 2005 with Glory Bee and Grain Millers and what was actually Golden Temple at the time. It's
that's right.
now
That's right.
Attune Foods. Yeah, and Grain Millers supplied the oats, Glory Bee the honey, and then Golden Temple's Attune manufactured and produced the cereal.
Hmm.
And this cereal is then distributed with our team throughout all of Lane County to schools and child programs. Um, I think it started with just two schools when it
Okay.
began and was serving about 8,000 servings of cereal per month. And
Hmm.
today it reaches about 44 different school programs
Wow.
and serves about, what is it, 28,000 servings per month.
Wow.
It's
That's
pretty
amazing.
incredible.
Is
Yeah,
there any other program like this in other counties? Do you know?
that's what I was going to say is I think it's truly like one of a kind. It's so unique. I haven't heard of such a collaboration in this effort
No, it's
anywhere.
really cool. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
very unique.
What what is there anything that can be done to expand that program? Whether that be by anybody, I guess, by Glory B, by other companies directly or indirectly involved in the program. How can the program be expanded, or does it need to be expanded?
We are right now working on those efforts. During the pandemic, many schools closed, many programs closed, everything
Hmm.
reverted to online learning. And starting at the beginning of our fiscal year, which is, July of 2022 till now, we have been able to get back a lot of the partners that had to close their doors for in-school
Hmm.
learning. So we are now also reaching out to many other communities in our area. And I think the sky's the limit. I'm sure that child hunger is not only an issue in our community and in our county, but I know it stretches across Oregon and really across the country.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it sounds like that would be great. So, for all those listening in, if you know somebody or you can get involved in the Food for Lane County's Cereal for Youth program, it's a really, really important program. So, um, let's hopefully we can grow the participants and grow the program. So, tell me about the significance of donations from local businesses in Lane County. How does that impact Food for Lane County and its food distribution network positively?
Well, I believe that local food donations comprise almost half. I think it's right around 44% of all food coming into Food for
Wow.
Lane County. And when I say all food coming into Food for Lane County, this is about 8 million pounds of food per year.
Wow.
So that equates to around, I don't know, 3 million pounds,
Mm-hmm.
which is about 2.5 million meals that are
Wow.
provided per year from local businesses alone, which is quite incredible, especially given the fact that 1 in 5 individuals in Lane County at some point in their lives will qualify for food assistance or need help.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, that's super important. And so, um, Food for Lane County, I know by the name it says Lane County, but is that the extent of the geographical reach, or does it go beyond that? And if so, how or where?
Oh, good question. Yes, so we cover our service distribution area is Lane County.
Okay.
And so we are providing food to organizations as far as Oak Ridge up in the Cascades, out to Florence on the coast, as far south as the community of Cottage Grove and up to
Okay.
Junction City.
Yeah.
And if there is an opportunity where, let's say, we did receive 300,000 pounds of, I don't know, peanut butter and or
Sure.
something maybe perishable. Let's go with a perishable product,
Right.
one that would need to be distributed really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Then we work with our other food banks to the south and to the north, and we ask them, could you use some of this product as well? And then we work to coordinate with them. If the amount is so large that really they wouldn't be able to get it out in a timely manner, then we also collaborate. All 20 food banks in Oregon collaborate
Okay.
and work together. So then we would send it to our statewide warehouse in Portland, and then they would work to be able to distribute it out to other food banks across
Got
the
it.
community. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's
I
pretty
think that,
amazing.
yeah, I think this model is pretty unique to Oregon
That's
as
pretty
well,
amazing.
which is
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Well, I've found in many different areas of life, Oregon is pretty unique and in a lot of cool ways. So that's fantastic. Um, how can Glory Be collaborate and encourage others to participate in um, Food for Lane County's program?
Well, Glory Be has been really such an amazing partner in so many ways for us. And I would say that some good opportunities would be to encourage other food businesses to get in touch with us and learn more about how we can better collaborate. Um, it's a wonderful way to think about reducing food waste.
Hmm.
It's a wonderful way to think about um, commitments to sustainability efforts. It's also a wonderful way to think about nourishing our community. Um, Another way maybe would be to encourage food businesses to do a food drive. It's a great
Ah,
team building effort with inside of a company. You can have competition between departments and see who can raise the most. And I would also encourage, I think one of the most important things too is to encourage people to realize that hunger can affect any of us. I
hmm.
mean, an unexpected medical bill that you weren't
Yeah,
budgeting for, or a job loss, or all kinds of things can impact someone's ability to get food for their family. So if you hear of a friend or a neighbor who is looking for help or assistance, encourage them to reach out. It's a wonderful way to spread the word, and yeah, we're all in this together, really.
that's cool. Okay, well, we'll do. We'll keep spreading the word. Um, Kara, do you have any questions for me? I know I've asked you a lot of questions today, and thanks for answering all of them so wonderfully. But yeah, I just wondering if you have any questions for me.
Well, I am curious about Glory Bee's distribution efforts. Like, how far and wide does your distribution span?
Yeah, our distribution is growing. It's we've now got a footprint in Ohio, so we're kind of reaching the Midwest and the East Coast and Southeast with some of our, really honey distribution is really kind of the focus of that expansion. So we've of course had a long standing regional distribution in Oregon and Washington, and but we've really had we've had a kind of a niche clientele nationally for a long time. So we've had um, certainly clients across the country that we've been distributing our product to. So yeah, but right now we're kind of in that mode of focusing on just expanding our company and our brand into the eastern side of the U.S.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And also working in operations myself and pounds moving in and out. I'm curious how many pounds of food move through Glory Bee in a year as well.
Yeah, over 50 million pounds of food move through Glory Bee every year. So a lot of honey and a lot of other natural and non-GMO, products move through. And we're really on the ingredient side. So a lot of things that we, um, are carrying come in 50-pound bags or boxes, and all the way up to if it's a liquid, a drum or a tote of product. But yeah, so quite a bit, quite a bit.
Oh, wow. That's great. I've been thinking about bees and how the symbology of bees in terms of values or like meaning, special meanings, maybe spiritual meaning, um, in terms of like work ethic or
Yeah.
collaboration or symbiosis and things like that. So, in your work with bees and as a beekeeper, are there any lessons that you've learned from bees or things that you've embraced that you like to apply to your own life and work?
Well, I think that bees are tireless, but they're not tireless in a singular fashion. They're tireless as a community, and so each bee puts forth its own monumental effort, tireless effort to work, but it's working as part of a community and for the community. And so bees are really, they're really a servant species. They lead by example, and they basically sacrifice. So I think that's the one thing that's pretty fascinating, pretty humbling about bees and the way that they function is they function so well as a community, but each bee is um, is putting its full effort forth for the purpose and the mission of the hive, which is really to serve. I mean, it's they're taking care of each other, but in taking care of each other, they're pollinating our plants and providing us the opportunity for healthy food, access to healthy food for everybody. Um, so that's one thing that's super amazing. I always like to point out the fact that um, bees make uh, fruit through pollination or nuts or vegetables, whatever they're pollinating. They make them 15 to 20% bigger and 15 to 20% more um, quantity of fruit or produce on average. So it's pretty amazing the work they do and the impact that they have when you think about all the mouths that we have to feed.
Yeah. I mean, without bees, we wouldn't, I don't think we would exist.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have the fuel to exist in our
no,
lives and the food for our lives to exist and thrive.
yeah. So I think that's kind of it. They're just so um, they're just such a servant species, and something to be held in high regard.
I also, speaking to that, I also had a question about one of your initiatives with the food for farmers, with coffee farmers. Um, and then I believe that Glory Bee works to help coffee farmers learn how to beekeep, to both help their pollination efforts for coffee harvests,
Hmm.
and then maybe also help supplement some income coming into the farm when maybe their harvests are thin. And can you tell me a little bit more about how many farms participate in this effort and how many bees do you think are saved by this effort?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, first off, I learned about this opportunity to support coffee farmers with beekeeping purely by just being curious about discovering that there was coffee blossom honey. I'd never heard of coffee blossom honey. This is probably over 10 years ago. And so I thought, well, this is fascinating. And I always like to try a new honey that I haven't tried before. And um, so upon learning about this cooperative in Chiapas, Mexico, Maya Vinic, and the coffee blossom honey that they were um, producing and selling, and we began, buying and bottling. I learned that coffee farmers have sort of an income drought. That the coffee provides about 7 to 8 months of their annual income, and so they need other income sources to supplement um, their livelihoods. And so beekeeping is a great thing for lots of different communities to pick up as a way to supplement their maybe possibly their main trade, and something that can be done as a sideline to your main trade. And so this I just began doing research and began learning about it, and came upon an organization called Food for Farmers, which was started doing work in coffee growing regions with coffee farmers, and establishing coffee cooperatives. And they had already started doing some work with bees and beekeeping with the coffee farmers. And so we've been able to hook up with them, provide some support to their organization, collaborate. And I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that there's, thousands of coffee farmers that they're working with, and communities that they're a part of, to introduce them to beekeeping. And they are not only improving their coffee production. One of the main ways that it assists with coffee production is it helps the fruit ripen more evenly or around the same time. So it actually improves their picking efficiency. So their harvesting efficiency is one thing that it really helps them with. And then, of course, they especially a really good year, they get excess honey, which they can use for their own personal livelihoods. They can sell in their community, or if they're part of a cooperative, they can export the honey in bulk. So a lot of really cool opportunities, and something that we're hoping we can drive forward with some great coffee growing or coffee companies in the United States, because it's a great way to support the coffee farmers and support the sustainability of coffee.
Thanks. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
So, Kara, I have my favorite question. What is your favorite type of honey you've ever had?
I'm going to have to go with the Willamette Valley blackberry honey. It's definitely my favorite. I have blackberries in a certain area of my yard, and I love to watch all the honey bees at dusk come and visit. And for me, it's the sweetest.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an awesome choice. I was going to say classic, but I think people might misinterpret classic as something that they can get everywhere. It's classic to Oregon. It's very unique, and it's definitely a top Oregon honey, and something that everybody should get the chance to experience. So I love that. The Willamette Valley blackberry honey, blackberry blossom honey is fantastic. Love it. Well, this has been great, Kara, and really appreciate all your time today. And just been a pleasure to have you on the Straight from the Hive podcast, video cast, and looking forward to sharing this with our audience.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome.